Hi, everyone. This is a market recap for Monday, August 3rd, 2026. Um, quite a lot of action in the market today. Really big green day. If we look at the Qs, if we look at the SPY, um, quite a lot of follow through. And I think that's kind of the takeaway message for today, or the take home message for today is follow through. Um, to me, it's kind of the thing that we've been waiting for the last 2 months. There's been a lot of chop, there's been a lot of sideways, there's been a lot of indecision, and there's been not much follow through. If we look at, to me, kind of the most important chart in the market right now is a snowflake. I think this because first, this was kind of the relative strength leader for this last pullback, and the cyber security space in general was. Snowflake happens to be the one holding up the best and the one breaking out the first. And although I didn't trade it, I still think this was, it's such an important chart to track because we haven't had a a relative strength, momentum stock type of leader setting up this way in quite a long time. And it's for that reason that I didn't take this trade because I just was not confident necessarily that this level was going to hold and that we weren't just going to, false breakout and chop around for another week or two or eventually until the market decided to turn up. But because this broke out, I think it contributed. I think it contributes heavily to a sentiment shift for future stocks that are setting up, especially in the momentum space or momentum slash tech space. I still think there's a lack of setups, and that's a topic of another topic of conversation. But if we look at an HPE or a Dell, right, I have noticed these computer hardware stocks, right, even like an HP or a Corsair, right, they're of varying degrees of what they do, but they're all in that computer hardware type space. But an HPE, like this is a phenomenal looking chart, and I would love to see a clean breakout on this because I would totally be a buyer of it because we're getting follow through. I would not, you know, I wouldn't be as confident had that not be the if that weren't the case. So, you know, today was an interesting day, especially on a stock like HPE because it kind of is over, or it's right at its breakout level pretty much. Um, you know, not certainly no entry there for me. I thought this morning, as we were pulling back and started wicking off the 50-day, I thought it looked phenomenal. But I have a rule, and that's my rule is that I don't trade pullbacks at any time aside from the closing bell or like a minute before the closing bell, because there's been too many times I have tried pullbacks thinking they look good intraday, and then just it continues lower, and then it looks good again later in the day, and then I just took a loss for no reason. So I only trade pullbacks at the close. Um, I really hope that we get another, you know, either a washout or a tight day or two tight days um, in the market because I don't like straight up action necessarily, especially right at the beginning of a new trend because it's impossible to get positioned. If we look at an HPE and we just rip tomorrow, there's no entry. It's like I can't buy a breakout after we just had, a 7% day. I just can't because there's just no tightness there. There's no clean risk reward. The asymmetry is not as good as I want it to be. And if we look at a stock like DDOG, right, I am anxiously awaiting earnings, and I would be highly, highly disappointed if this thing breaks out before earnings. Because if that happens, then guess what? There's no option for me. There's no entry, and there's yet another software stock going without me, and that would be highly unfortunate. And I'm sure a lot of traders feel the exact same way. So I would really love to see a pullback kind of into this 250 level, kind of like what I was talking about yesterday. And if we get that over the next day or two, I mean, I would be very, very, excited for earnings. Um, because I think this is one of the cleaner bases in the market. I think it looks cleaner than CrowdStrike. I think it looks cleaner than Palo Alto. I think it looks cleaner than Net, um, and all these other software names. Uh, so, again, Palantir had earnings, and it's gapping up a lot, up at 145 today in the after hours, which is a really big move. And if that'll help the market and software names, I'm sure it will. We might see some continuation there. But until then, I'm really just waiting for the DDOG earnings. I would really like to see another day or two of tight before we really start to see, uh, an actual breakout. Um, Steel names, nice day today. Uh, MT, decent continuation. Still kind of um, unsure about how we'll behave around highs here. That's kind of the tricky part about taking low set breakouts, is there's a lot more supply. Breaker International had a phenomenal day today. This thing continues to impress me. Uh, and there was a couple times during this early trend that I got a little hesitant being in it, but I am glad that I have held it because it's been doing really, really well. Um, my first financial position, not doing anything exciting at all, ready to cut this any day now, especially after a day like today if we don't get continuation tomorrow. I mean, this thing's just been chopping around doing nothing after earnings and just absorbing buying power. Crude saw a bit of a pullback today. Unfortunately, um, it doesn't look great. Well, fortunately, and it doesn't make really a difference to me. I only say that because I'm in HF Sinclair. Um, what crude oil does to me at this point, I mean, I don't really care, honestly, but I would like to see at least a breakout on this into $100, because I still think this looks constructive, but I don't think MPC does. Well, I think it looks fine until earnings. I think a PARR looks kind of rough close, but this doesn't necessarily mean anything. These are still well within structure, um, still behaving much better than crude alone. Tankers still look really good. I took a new position on FRO today. Kind of a trade I'm unsure about. I only say that because just purely out of the price action today. I don't really like volatile days right before a breakout, because it just, what is this? Like, this is just weird. It's good to see that we got bought up, but this is not I don't know. It's interesting to say the least, but I don't like to see indecision right before a breakout level. Like, I was watching this at the morning, expecting, or at the opening bell, expecting a breakout over 40, and we just sold off. It's awesome that we got bought up, but um, and I'm confident that we'll break out, but I'm not necessarily confident we won't put in another red day tomorrow and then go. Like, it's interesting. Still think that this is the cleanest chart in the market by far. And some of the other tankers look pretty good too. If we look at a DHT, INSW, Eco, uh, boat, these are not all, these are just marine shipping, right? But then you got oil tankers like FRO and DHT and Eco and whatnot. But they do kind of move together. The ITA had a nice day, right? Probably responsible for that would be Boeing. Really nice day today. Airlines in general kind of saw a nice day today, probably in response to the crude situation, right? They tend to kind of move slightly inversely to each other, which makes sense. Um, you know, Across the tech space, we saw pretty big green days. NVIDIA, I still think this looks decently good. I was skeptical after the day on the 27th, but if we can continue building a base here, could provide a good entry. Microsoft continues to just rip. This is awesome to see. I would love to see a flag here right under $500 would be great. Over the next coming weeks. Meta has been bounced since its gap down. Which is, again, like, I kind of wondered if we'd start to see rotation into these kind of oversold mag stocks, or oversold mega cap stocks, because you know they've been not doing a whole lot for a while. Um, let's see, pretty much everything besides like biotech, healthcare, some agriculture, some utility, a couple individual names across, varying sectors. Pretty much everything aside from a select few sectors had a nice green day today, which is pretty cool to see. Again, I just think there's still a large lack of, tradable stocks in the market right now. Not to say that there aren't things moving, The problem is that things that are moving, like the sectors that are moving, have already had their entries, right? If you're not in the restaurant stocks, you've missed the restaurant trade. If you're not in the oil stocks, you've missed the oil trade. If you're not in the, I think banks are providing some cleaner entries right now. Um, but if you're like, you know, you're not in the healthcare, you missed the healthcare trade. It's like I just don't see a whole lot. Steel is a pretty fresh trend. We'll see how this holds up. I like how the steel charts are looking. They're all looking pretty good in my opinion. Um, so we'll see what MT does and the other steel stocks do. But you know, I still think that there's just a general lack of setups and reasoning for that. Who knows? But it just kind of makes me I just don't know what to think, right? If the market turns up, how do I get positioned, right? That's kind of what I ask myself. If the market turns up, how do I put on more exposure, aside from an HPE? Because this is really like the only stock that I'm looking at, and DDOG. Like that's it. I have these two stocks on watch, um, and aside from the software and the computer hardware, I don't really know what else is going to float, like what other momentum names there are to trade. Again, though, doesn't mean there aren't sectors moving if you're not already positioned, because there certainly are. Um, but yeah, an interesting day today. Again, I kind of hope we get another day or two of like sideways or slight washout, because that would give me cleaner entries to get positioned in the stocks that I want to get positioned in. Um, but yeah, um, data storage names still not particularly constructive. I think STX had a reasonable entry today. Not a stock I would trade yet until I started seeing confirmation from the other memory names, right? The other DRAM names. This is just relative strength to track, in my opinion. I think this looks pretty good, kind of as like a load sheet setup, but just not quite yet for me. um, that's about all I can think of right now. Um, Again, only two stocks in my watch are HPE and Datadog, and FRO, but I'm already in FRO. Hope it does what I want to do, or want it to do. I really like this chart. I like what the other tankers are doing. Again, I just am not a fan of today's price action. Just a little bit weird. Um, but yeah, don't really know what to make of the market right now. I'm not bearish or bullish per se, just kind of watching. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for listening.